Okay. Hi, Assalamualaikum everyone, and a very good morning. On behalf of NiAT and the OBSERVE team, I'd like to say welcome to the NiAT webinar. Today, it is currently 10 o'clock. I think we should start. So today's webinar is titled Observe Data Analytics through Geographical Information System. So thank you again for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us here today. My name is Ashmat Ashley. I'm from the Business Development Unit and will be your host and moderator for today. If you did not know, today, the 17th of November, we celebrate International Geographical Information Day, or in short, we call it GIS Day. And NiAT has decided to host this informative webinar to share the latest developments and also show a few product demonstrations in our GIS data analytic platform called OBSERVE. We hope to keep your interest throughout this session, as we also have an exciting announcement that we'll share before the end of the hour. So stay tuned for that. Before we dive in deeper, I'd like to elaborate on some of the house rules during this webinar. 1. All participants will remain muted, but however, we encourage you to stay interactive and use the chat functions to share your thoughts, ideas, and also network with the speakers and other participants if you may. You may also pose your questions at any time using the Q&A functions. And also, I would like to inform to you that this webinar is recorded and will be used to upload to our YouTube channel. So, without further ado, let us begin with our agenda this morning. I'd like to also introduce to you our panelists who will be presenting and answering all your questions, including the ones submitted during the registration earlier on. To kick off the session, OBSERVE Sales Engineer Faiz Yaqub. He will be introducing Geographical Information Systems and its importance to the environment, society, and national government, all while also introducing OBSERVE as a whole, elaborating on many OBSERVE solutions that can be provided to potential users and its applications. Secondly, we have our OBSERVE software engineer, Fasiha. She will demonstrate her Maritime Domain Awareness dashboard using live and real-time data from Vessel AIS, which includes speed, location, heading, and also live weather conditions, all while working closely with Spire. The operational dashboard will show how agile data visualization function of OBSERVE can be beneficial to you. Last but not least, our resident GIS engineer, Emily Yong Pepe, will be working with you throughout other use cases that we are currently studying and developing. You will be able to see the plethora of opportunities that GIS-based data analytic platform would be able to provide to you. Even her presentation will be made using one of the OBSERVE apps called Story Maps, where she uses it to inform everyone here how she is using OBSERVE and satellite remote sensing to monitor climate change. So let us not delay anymore and we shall carry on. I would like to invite Faiz to present his work to everyone. So take it away, Faiz.
Thank you, Ashley, for the introduction. Assalamualaikum and good morning, everyone. First and foremost, I'd like to thank everyone here for joining our webinar today. My name is Faiz, the sales engineer under the OBSERVE team. Today, I'll be delivering the first session of the webinar, which will touch on the introduction of GIS, as well as what OBSERVE is, along with what it can bring. First, GIS, an introduction. A Geographic Information Systems, or GIS, is a system that enables users to manage, analyze various types of data, and integrate it with location data. This helps users to better understand spatial patterns and relationships between different types of data in a geographical context to deliver improved efficiency, better management, and decision-making. GIS often represents features on the Earth like buildings, cities, roads and rivers, etc. on a computer. People use GIS to visualize, analyze, and understand data about the world and human activity. The data is then viewed on a map, which provides an advantage over using spreadsheets or database. This is because maps and spatial analysis can often reveal patterns, point out problems, and show connections that may not be readily apparent in tables or text. So how does GIS work? The power of GIS is why we are seeing business leaders rely more on their GIS teams for decision making than ever before. GIS is about taking complex data sets and transforming them into understandable and usable information for companies to digest. We then combine these various types of datasets and put it onto a custom digital map. The custom maps is where we ingest, manage, and store the data to perform further data analysis. We then make use of the power of GIS application to visualize the output to a format that can be used by everyone. This includes mobile apps, dashboards, as well as web applications. Lastly, we can use GIS to cross-examine multiple datasets from other departments, for example, or historical data that's been collected over the years. This means that GIS creates a basis for people to use when they need to determine the importance of complex spatial data for decision-making, catering for the use case for operations and planning, field operations, as well as briefing and public information. Next, I'd like to explain a bit more on our OBSERVE Geospatial and Information Systems engine. So we had already covered that maps and location data are a proven method of communicating geographic knowledge. When a decision needs to be made, GIS helps us gather information and organize it onto a digital map. We then use it to evaluate the decisions. Once we fully understand the geographic consequences of our decision, we can then act in an informed and responsible manner. We can ask ourselves, where is my or our blank? What is happening there? How can I check without having to go there? How can I plan my activity based on the status and condition of the location? So ultimately, I want to monitor my asset and see what is happening around the asset. So the name of the game here is location-based situational awareness and also rapid data-driven decision making. NiAT observes enables the users to incorporate different kinds of datasets, such as the latest satellite imagery at a very high resolution, aerial imagery, for example, LiDAR and 3D mapping, and also asset tracking devices for vehicles, vessels, aircraft via either terrestrial, cellular, or satellite networks. Publicly obtained data such as weather maps, social media, and geophysical information, local data such as statistics, land use database, and utility distribution, as well as international data such as climate change data can also be incorporated into OBSERVE platform for a richer picture of information. OBSERVE sits on Esri's ArcGIS platform, which has become the GIS industry standard. It can offer historical reporting for post-mortem analysis, secure data hosting, and more importantly, the ability to use a vast multitude of tools for planning, operations, and analysis. What we usually do is we customize the datasets depending on what our customer really wants. For example, in imagery, we have LiDAR and drone, which are aerial-based imagery. We also have satellite-based imagery, the electro-optical imagery sourced from XR, for example, and SAR imagery, which is synthetic aperture radar. We have links with our partners and data providers to ensure that we can provide these services to you so you can have an up-to-date image of the Earth of a particular area or interest. So combining the imagery and the various datasets from our data providers together, for example, vessel AIS data, aircraft ADSB, and weather, or even your own data that you have gathered or collected over the years. OBSERVE can help you visualize the data, be it in a tabular format or represented geographically. It can help digitalize your current or archived data with various options of cloud or on-premise storing solutions directly connected to the core component of the GIS. So why OBSERVE? Brunei Darussalam is on track for the fourth industrial revolution adoption in its digitalization objectives. OBSERVE is one of those technologies that can be employed to plan, execute, monitor, and report events, basically transitioning from this, which is pen and paper, to this, custom digital map. So we also provide local technical support, perfect for your use case and expertise development. And our platform is our OBSERVE is based on the Esri ArcGIS platform, which is not only flexible, scalable, but also has the data visualization and data analytic tools. And also, lastly, we continue to grow on our database for a higher confidence level during analysis and review. So our OBSERVE team is continuously expanding our capabilities and offering different types of solutions to cater to different types of potential users. For example, maritime domain awareness, which can be useful for NMCC, the Royal Brunei Navy, the Maritime Port Authority, or the fisheries. We recently built a solution for maritime industry, which our team will go through shortly, that combines vessel IIS data, vessel registry, as well as some other kinds of data, and then integrate it together to become something that can be beneficial for many different types of maritime-related applications, such as port operations, fleet management, and risk mitigation, etc. As with the various types of OBSERVE solutions mentioned just now, there are many more use cases that OBSERVE or GIS in general can be used for, covering things from food or agriculture, health needs, infrastructure planning, data collection, and resource management, to name a few. Basically, OBSERVE can be customized and tailored to help you see what's most important and relevant to you. An example of a use case is for utilities failure or hazard reporting management using publicly generated or crowdsourced data. Crowdsourcing apps can be immensely useful in identifying public works or transportation need, as well as planning and budgeting for infrastructure maintenance, upgrades, or replacement. Similar to engagement for planning purposes, the public can readily bring local issues or opportunities to the attention of relevant parties, such as the Public Works Department or JKR, or other related agencies. For example, identifying on a map where utility services might need maintenance or repair, or if a particular intersection is causing recurring safety concerns. Other users might include reporting where neighborhood potholes on the road need attention, or if a tree has fallen, a sidewalk is in disrepair, or a highway damage. I'm sure we've all probably heard of waste before, and how crowdsourced data can be similarly beneficial. This data can be easily and quickly logged with mobile apps, in our case using Esri's field maps or Survey 123, by individuals within the community, and then identified on an online map. What the users see on the app is reflected instantly to the operations team. Feedback is then immediately gathered by officials, who then can use to issue a work order to provide maintenance and repair, or to track completion of any particular task. So now, rather than needing to review spreadsheets, these apps can easily translate into simple, useful summaries of information gathered. This can be immensely useful and helpful in prioritizing projects or action a pending issue based on public input. So not only does this improve efficiency and saves time, it can possibly substitute a lengthy operations process of phone calls and letters. Next, we move on to our OBSERVE for Maritime Solutions. Our OBSERVE team recently embarked on a maritime domain awareness solution development using data provided from Spire, a next-generation data and analytics company that collects data from space to solve problems on Earth. The data feeds from Spire include real-time and historical AIS data, vessel registry data, as well as weather data, to name a few. So Automatic Identification System, or AIS, is an automatic vessel tracking system which enables vessels equipped with the transceivers to be tracked by AIS terrestrial base stations, usually located along the coastlines, as well as tracked by the satellites when out of range of terrestrial networks. Additionally, on top of the satellite and terrestrial networks, Spire's dynamic AIS data provides exceptional coverage in high traffic zones, busy ports, and shipping lanes. The AIS tracking system is vital to the maritime industry as it serves as the primary vessel tracking and communication system around the globe. Historical AIS is equally valuable as it is used to identify patterns and build out vessel heat maps on global shipping routes. With OBSERVE, we've generated a system that identifies and tracks movements of maritime vessels, yet uses data feeds from Spire Maritime that combines satellite, terrestrial, and their unique dynamic AIS data, vessel registry, and weather data to provide analytics and business intelligence with unprecedented maritime data. While the topic of maritime domain awareness covers a lot of things from situational awareness for security and intelligence, risk monitoring and mitigation for permit to work, or fleet management for asset tracking, to name a few, for our development, we focus specifically on our port operations for port authorities as well as maritime defense. In port operations specifically, there are many benefits that OBSERVE can bring. Overall, our platform can improve port and maritime efficiency in several areas such as for operations specialists, corporate professionals, and subject matter experts working in the port industry. The range of benefits include resource planning, risk management, operational KPI monitoring, trend and forecasting analysis, strategic planning, to name a few. Using OBSERVE enables a shared common operational picture of ports and supporting facilities that promotes interagency communication and coordination of action. Thank you very much for your attention. Before our software engineer Faseha will do a demonstration on our maritime solution, we will first run a short poll. Ash, over to you.
All right. Thank you, Faiz. That was very educational. I find it amazing how OBSERVE is so relevant and has a presence in all our lives. I can't even think of one right now. I'm a cyclist myself, and I can't remember ever going out for a ride without my polar devices to track my rides, which when I'm done, will be uploaded to Strava for other fellow cyclists to see. I mean, if it's not on Strava, did you really cycle? So yeah, I'm sorry, I just got a little too excited talking about cycling there. So back to the webinar. How about we do a little quick poll? I would encourage all the participants to submit your answers. So don't worry, there is no right or wrong answers. So I will be launching it right about now. I'll give everyone 30 seconds to answer. Poll is still going. There you go. It's like a little race going on. All right. Okay, I think the poll just ended, and it looks like I'll share the screen right now that everyone is leaning towards sensor and real-time data, which is IoT. That is technically a very predictable outcome, and having a collection of smart devices that works together to transmit data without human input is definitely a trend we see recently. So, I mean, you can easily see it from examples of we have smart homes, we have smart farming, smart cars, and so on. IoT has surely been a game changer when it comes to improving efficiency. Thank you, everyone, for your participation. Let me remove that off your screen. I think we are finally ready to see OBSERVE in action. I would like to invite Faz to give her presentation. So over to you, Faz.
Thank you, Ashley. Assalamualaikum, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I am Faseha, software engineer for OBSERVE. I will explain to you what we've managed to do so far with vessel AIS and weather data. We can offer global, as shown on my screen, or it can be set to Asia Pacific region. What you're seeing here is one of the features that we can generate using OBSERVE. Right now, we cannot see clearly our country of Brunei Darussalam. So what I will do, I will go to the bookmark to navigate into our area. As you can see, now the main view is a map of Brunei surrounded by different elements. On initial access, the first view will be of all tracks vessels around Brunei waters. We make use of global vessel row data, then customize it into our dashboard for maritime domain awareness. All the functionality shown on this walkthrough is very flexible, and our solution is just one way those datasets are utilized. The number on the top left right here indicate the number of vessels. On the map, we have search icon to search area, bookmark to select your port of interest or default map of Brunei, legend to see the type of vessel on the map, layers to see all layers we have included in the map. It can be on and off. For example, if we click on global vessel aggregation, we can see the number of vessels within a specific area. Or we can turn on Brunei EEZ to see the boundaries of our water. Now you can see clearly whether the vessel is in or out of our boundaries. And if you wish to change the base map, you can. You have a variety of options right here. If you want to see details, you can choose imagery. So when you zoom in, you can see a map provided by satellite imagery. But for this presentation, I will use Nova Map. While at the bottom left show a chart of vessel by type. For example, if I click on cargo, the map will only view cargo vessels in the red icon. Let's say I want to see cargo with tanker, I can simply click the tanker, the map and number will respond immediately. Now you can only see the red and gray icons indicate both cargo and tanker. Then just click on the space here to go back. Same goes with vessel with country. From here, you can see where the vessel on Brunei water coming from and how many vessels from each country. I know you'll be wondering if a bar named MY and Malaysia are the same country. It is because some vessels reported with the name MY and some under Malaysia. So, if we want to see vessels coming from Malaysia, we can click on these two. As we selected the flag bar, all information will be shown on the right panel. You go to Malaysia tab and see all vessels info coming from Malaysia. However, if you wanted to see list of all vessels, you can see from here. Now it showed all information of the vessel within the map view. Moving on, when I click on the bookmark section on the top right, for example, I choose Champion Oil Field, it is zoomed into it. From here, more details are available such as boundaries. You can see vessel coming in and out. Clicking on the specific vessel will bring up additional information as well as a link to our on-demand details such as vessel name, MMSI, position coordinates, speed, ETA, last update, and 7 weather forecasts based on that vessel actual location. You can even see picture to validate whether it is right vessel or not. All of the vessels here are updated near real time, depends on information updated from the vessel sensor. When I click Open 7 Weather Forecasts, it'll bring me to the weather data. And here I am highlighting the weather forecast option from today until the next 7 days. Forecast variable below can be toggled on and off. Data gathered here from onboard sensor, then sent to the AIS system. This weather forecast can be utilized to monitor waves, temperature, winds, and barometric pressure. These can be used for employee safety or permit to work for people on board. Going back to the dashboard, the filter above is where we can search a vessel by name, MMSI, or source that we wanted. If I were a fleet marine team, I could definitely use this filter to search any vessel on our water. For example, I've given the vessel name Amali, but I don't know where is the current location right now. I can simply type Amali here. Now I know it's located at Lumut Anchorage area. An automatic pop-up provided to see details of vessel that I search for. I also notice when I zoom in, a polygon representing the ship size as calculated from the AIS data is visible. It is automatically drawn for the situation awareness. Same goes with the MMSI. For example, if I've given the MMSI of the vessel but I don't know what type of vessel it is, what is the name of the vessel, I can simply type here the MMSI, or even easier, copy paste. Now I know the vessel name is Pioneer 5001 and it's actually the top vessel, and all the information that I need is stated here. For sources, we have three types of satellite AIS data, which is satellite, dynamic, and also terrestrial. In this case, we will leave these three as it is because we want to see all vessel information on the screen. Next, let's take a look at measurement tools. We have added measurement tools into our web app. Here we have the distance and direction in the map. It contains several tabs that allow you to calculate distance and direction based on different geometries like line and rings. Let's take a look at the functionality of line tab. Let's say the captain asked the question, how far are we to that vessel? On this platform, that's an easy question to answer. Clicking a starting and ending point on the map instantly gives me a graphic with both distance and angle information. Furthermore, we can also plot distance and bearing. For example, the captain wants to plan the course of his ship starting in Brunei port right here. At a distance of 100 km, an angle of 40 degrees. When I drop the point to Brunei port and click OK, then you can see the result navigating to Champion oil field. Now let's take a look at the ring tab. Let's say I want to conduct a search and rescue over Champion oil field. Again, I'm just using this as an example. Before I drop a center point, I will enter my number of ring. I'll put 3 and determine my distance between ring and set my unit of measure to nautical miles. So now it determines interactive radials resulting all of my input values. The role of this measurement is to provide rapid deployment for search and rescue team and for them to drop safety equipment while the situation is assessed further. Moving on to coordinate conversion, I'll click a random location. The specified input coordinate is now converted into varieties of input notation. You can copy-paste from whichever format you wanted. Next is the AIS data selection tools. As you can see, as soon as I click on the Analysis tab, it launched the application for reviewing historical ship tracks and more. If I were a fleet owner or a vessel traffic team, all of these functions are beneficial for me because it gives me all the information that I need. First, on the left is the Incident Analysis tool. This enables to set an area of interest AOI by viewing it in the map. Let's say I set my area to Pulau Muara Besar. And I will choose the date 2nd October and select my desired point per hour to 15. When I click load, now I can interact with the hours work for AIS data with the time slider. This data can also be used for sharing when you download. Two types of format given in CSV or JSON. Tracks, the second one, enable you to select multiple ships. For example, I use the ship name as before. I'll name it tracking tasks. Here, you can put either vessel MMSI, IMO, or even easier ship name. I will use the two vessels that we have seen earlier, which is Amali and also the Pioneer 5001. As for the time range, I will use the whole October from 1st October to 30th. Then, as usual, I put my desired point per hour to 15 when I click load. And now I received the historical tracks of those ships in October. I can see Amali going out to Tokyo, and as for Pioneer, I can zoom in and see the vessel activity in October. This is very useful for checking routes into your port, and again, this data can be downloaded if needed. Last but not least, the final button on the right side enables you to create a fleet. I already have sets of data as an example. We wanted to monitor all PITAS vessels. You just have to put in all the information as I shown before. When I click load, I need quickly access them via the time machine to keep track of the assets of all time. To summarize, I've shown you the dashboard features including vessels and weather data, the measurement tools, and lastly, the data selection analysis. Remember, all our features and navigation panels here can be customized by using raw data. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, and now I'll hand it over to Ashley.
Thank you, Paz. Now that I've seen the MDA in action right in front of me, I can imagine more than 10 things I would do with the dashboard. For one, on top of my mind, I love to shop online. And with that, I can find out where my parcels are as it sails from anywhere in the world and makes its journey to Brunei. With Observe, I can also tell if the ship is enduring rough weather at any point on the trip or any related data you're interested in knowing, really. But going back to FAST, that was very informative and interesting indeed. Thank you, FAST. So, similar to the first part, I'd like to do another poll, but this time in regards to AIS data. So let me launch it up real quick for everyone. So I'll give another 30 seconds. And there you go. And the race is on. There we go. All right, here's the poll projected to you right about now. So it seems like everyone just answered the same thing, all of the above, which is pretty much correct. So as mentioned in the presentation, dynamic satellite and terrestrial AIS is ingested in observed source filters. All these data sets are collected, which allow the vessels to broadcast their identity in conjunction with shipboard sensors from time to time. So technically, all the answers above is correct. Thanks, everyone. Let me put that away from your screen and we shall move on. But before I hand you over to Emily, I hope everyone remembered that we have some news to share because this is it. I would now like to make the announcement. In celebration of GIS Day 2021, NiAT will be opening the opportunity to any schools, universities in Brunei to submit their interest to receive the Observe Academia grant, where up to 50 students in a single educational institution will receive a complimentary access to Observe with the ArcGIS license for 1 whole year. 2 conditions though. You must be a student, researcher, or admin staff of a Brunei educational institution, and you have to submit any type of projects or research in mind that we could help in. Once again, first come, first serve. So what are you waiting for? Students, researchers, administrative staff of any Brunei educational institution could visit our website at www.niat.com.bn, and find our email address info@niat.com.bn to send in your proposals right now. So let's move on to the last presentation, which I hope would inspire you some more, especially with the opportunity for a grant coming up. Perhaps some of you study climate change, monitor climate change, or maybe you're an aspiring marine biologist, right? Who wants to conserve our marine life. With the abundance of data, we aspire to help you with the OBSERVE platform. So without further ado, let me pass you on over to Emily. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Ash. Hello and good morning. My name is Emily Yong and I'm the GIS engineer under OBSERVE team at NiAT. Today, I'm excited to share with you some of our future products that our team will embark on in the next coming months, with particular interest in combining GIS with climate change. As demonstrated earlier on by my fellow colleagues, GIS provides the ability to use location-based information to integrate with diverse data sources and systems and project them into a common view. With GIS, it adds spatial component into our day-to-day spreadsheets and databases, providing us with a complete view of our operation to formulate actionable intelligence. This stream of database usually comes in many forms, and one such way is through imageries from remote sensing technologies. Sensors such as satellite or air-based sensors can detect and classify Earth system through propagated signal. This work can be carried out daily and rapidly without requiring us to be physically on site to collect field data. Daily observation of Earth's surface reveals vast amount of information about our environment and subsequently reveals seasonal change in climate patterns. As image processing and data analytic capabilities grow, this visual intelligence has generated far more insight and perspective into understanding our planet. In this session, I will demonstrate some examples of how we can monitor climate change for Brunei Darussalam using three main areas of studies including sea surface temperature, rising sea level, and greenhouse gas emission. Our ocean plays a central role in regulating the Earth's climate, serving as a natural carbon sink to absorb at least 30% of man-made source carbon dioxide. It also absorbs at least 90% of the extra energy from enhanced greenhouse gas emission, resulting in enhanced ocean warming trend as seen today. This in turn sparks a likely change in our ocean ecosystem, forcing marine communities to adapt to this new norm. On a global scale, the average sea surface temperature has seen an increase since the beginning of the 20th century. This leads to long-lasting impact on our ocean and our economy, including the altered migration and breeding pattern of marine fishes and aquaculture, threats to coral reef and the effects on reef fishes and coastal communities that depend on them for food and coastal protection, increased frequency and intensity of harmful algal bloom or red tide season, and the trickle-down effects on tourism and food security issue. So how do we fare in terms of SST trend? The map over here shows the location of coral reef as adapted from the Island Coral Atlas 2021 and historical sea surface temperature in the last 2 decades. The calculated mean average SST for Brunei Darussalam is 29.4 degrees Celsius, which is considered to be acceptable for coral survival. However, from the time series map, we also note that our corals experience more days of elevated SST range as indicated in the dark red color, suggesting that our reefs too were exposed to longer weeks of elevated ocean temperature. The Marine Protected Area was established as a means to protect and conserve nursery and breeding ground for marine fishes, essentially a no-take fishing zone. Based on the map, we can see that our MPA are also enclosed within the elevated SST frame, suggesting a potential threat to marine productivity and food security. SST information reveals where exactly the elevated temperature is located at in our water body, and the possibility of encountering coral bleaching or stress phenomena in the area. From a conservation perspective, this also translates to a need to reduce human-induced ocean warming within its vicinity, such as the need to exercise caution when divers approach this sensitive zone, or reduce the amount of man-made pollution within the area. Further, we can also overlay other information into our map. In this case, a layer of chlorophyll A data was added. Chlorophyll A concentration is an indicator of phytoplankton abundance and biomass in coastal waters, and is typically used as a measure of water quality. High levels indicate poor water quality, while low levels suggest good water condition. Fishermen or aquaculture companies could potentially use this information to plan ahead their fishing route to increase the chance of achieving higher catch rate. On the other hand, marine resource managers such as Department of Fisheries may use chlorophyll A data as a proxy to estimate red tide season. By combining SST and the chlorophyll A data, we can estimate the trends and frequency of red tide season in Brunei and potentially model it for future trend prediction and marine productivity estimates. Aside from ocean warming, we can also monitor sea level rise in our country. Graph here indicates the rapid increase in global mean sea level over the last 100 years. Sea level rise jeopardizes our growing coastal communities, and its impact is far more devastating in small island nations such as Maldives, Kiribati, and Vanuatu. Biologically productive ecosystems such as tidal marshes and wetlands are also at the front line of drown risk, as they no longer are able to keep up with the rate of rise resulting from climate change. On a socio-economic perspective, sea level rise threatens coastal properties and infrastructure, inundating millions of coastal communities living in high-risk zones. This also implies the overall cost associated with climate change adaptation measures in place in town planning process. The picture on the left is a classified image of Kuala Blight Town as identified using Landsat imagery and machine learning algorithm for image classification. The slider toolbar enables us to compare the growth of built area between year 2000 and year 2020 and identify any potential change in our shoreline or riverbank. Using feature extraction tool, a section of water body along Sungai Blight were extracted and compared over 2 decades. Based on this analysis, we were able to identify breadth extension of water body as indicated in the red color. Assuming minimal dredging or reconstruction work were carried out over the last 2 decades, this map reveals the breadthward extension of Blight River into the built area, potentially affect Kuala Blight Town and Sungai Duhon Industrial Park, especially during high tide season. Future town planning work in Kuala Blight requires the need to assess the rate at which erosion has taken away a section of the existing riverbank, the adaptation strategies for Kuala Blight in face of sea level rise, as well as the overall infrastructure cost to mitigate flooding risk. Based on the Brunei National Climate Change Policy, it is expected that Brunei will continue to see an increase in sea level rise in the next 30 to 50 years. The last use case that I would like to demonstrate is the state-of-the-art tropospheric monitoring instrument or TROPOMI on board of Sentinel-5P mission to perform atmospheric measurement for air quality, ozone, UV radiation, climate monitoring, and forecasting. Launched since October 2017, this mission provides both near real-time and offline data to monitor air pollution with high spatial temporal resolution. In this example, we look at methane concentration to determine the possible source and sinks of methane gas in Brunei Darussalam. Methane gas remains in the atmosphere for only up to a decade, but it also has a large equivalent greenhouse gas effect than carbon dioxide. Hence, it is important to monitor the amount of CH4 in our atmosphere. This gas is usually released either naturally by microbes in soil, wildfire, plant decay, or human-induced activities such as agriculture, landfills, and energy production. Using various band combination and spectral information, we were able to detect and monitor methane column concentration over our atmosphere, with majority of this gas column identified over inland of Brunei Darussalam. Satellite information provides up-to-date atmospheric and emission data. However, there may still be data quality issues due to atmospheric noise and the lack of ground data. Fortunately, a lot of these issues have been solved by the upgrade of satellite mission and image processing algorithm over time, and the results generated from Sentinel-5P mission thus indicate overall a good agreement with ground-based data. In summary, remote sensing and GIS intelligence allows us to monitor climate condition in Brunei Darussalam, and it is up to us to leverage on this readily available information to monitor our environment. Now that I have come to the end of my session, my challenge for you today is to think about how climate change has impacted your organization, where do you think they come from, and what can location-based intelligence such as GIS do to solve your concern. Over here at OBSERVE, we design end-to-end solutions to our customers using multiple tools to display geographical information all at your fingertips. Thanks to the advent of satellite technologies and our partnership with various organizations, we now have access to the latest up-to-date Earth observation sources at the highest resolution and allows you to explore even the most remote part of our planet. It is our privilege to walk you through some of these GIS advances that we have shared in this webinar, and I hope that this also opens up opportunities and discussion on ways that GIS can be integrated in your industries to formulate data-driven solutions. For more information, feel free to contact us after this webinar. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Emily. I think we all can agree that story map sure looks smart, flexible, and most importantly, interactive. It surely gave the content life, and the details just jumps out to everyone exactly how it was meant to. With regards to the use case presented after the recent United Nations Climate Change Conference in Glasgow, or the COP26 climate change meetings, there is no better time than now for us to address the issues surrounding global warming that may end up tragically affecting the sustainability of human life. We are proud that OBSERVE has taken on this use case because it is important for us all to work together to preserve our home, which we call planet Earth, because we only have one, everyone. If you are passionate about climate change or any of the topics that my colleagues have just discussed this morning and is a student, we again invite you to write in via email and apply to the OBSERVE Academia grant. NiAT will provide you the support you need to use the OBSERVE as a tool to collect, analyze, and also share information for a whole year to further enhance your research and also skills. We are truly looking forward for this exciting project to collaborate with the educational sector of Brunei Darussalam. Before we move on, let's do another Q&A. So let me pull that Q&A up real quick for everyone. So I will be launching it right about now. There you go. All right, I'll be sharing the results. So at 62%, we are at rising sea levels. Let me drop a quick fact for that. Did you know that sea level rise is projected to increase by 1.2 meters globally in 2100? and with majority of our population living on the coast, this is surely a major concern, which will surely affect infrastructure and also town planning in the future. So maybe with OBSERVE, we can help, transition better there. Yeah, again, thank you for your participation, everyone. It's nice to know everyone's feedback. Here we go. So let me bring forward this webinar. Ladies and gentlemen, let us start with the Q&A session. But before we begin, I'd like to have all the panelists to switch on their cameras. We have Faiz, we have Emily, and okay, we have Faz. We have received your questions in the Q&A box, some in the chat box, and I believe the speakers may have already replied to one or two. Thank you. For our audience, if you do have any more questions, do type it in. But let us move on to some questions sent in earlier during the registration stage. I do have one right now. GIS technology may cause a breach of privacy. To what extent is this true? Faiz, could you help answer this?
Yes, thank you, Ash. So the question was, GIS technology may cause a breach of privacy. To what extent is this true? So it depends. Yes, the increased usage of GIS and associated geospatial technologies has brought with it a rise in public concern over privacy. Nowadays, people use Waze, Google Maps, social media, etc., that require users to turn on their location, which can indicate their live location. But they also give an option to set the data to private or public. Same goes with OBSERVE. We can set the data sharing level to either personal, group, organization, or public. We aim to provide a new resource to help them comply with the current and evolving policies and regulations. So thank you for the question.
All right, no worries. Thank you for answering. I do have another question sent in earlier. Where did you get the geographical data from? And if there are new updates, how will you integrate it to the system? I think fastest is more towards your line.
Yep, thank you, Ash. I believe this is also related to one of the questions in the Q&A box. So our geographical data came from multiple sources. Sensor data usually transmitted from known credible sources, for example, AIS and weather data from Spire. Satellite imagery varies between resolution, some open data, some commercial. All are OGC compliant. Our integration methods depends on format type. Usually, if there's a new update, our system will update accordingly. There are many sources of geographical data available out there. As mentioned by Faiz earlier, our OBSERVE sits on Esri ArcGIS platform. You can immediately get access to GIS global collection from around the world. You can find maps, apps, and data layers from range of new categories such as base map, imagery, people, boundaries, infrastructure, and environment. We also have a lot of industry partners that cater to specific geographical datasets, such as Maxar for high-resolution ortho-rectified imagery that form the background setting for a map complete with georeferencing. We also have Spire, another partner which provide AIS data for vessel, ADSB data for aviation, as well as weather data. If you have a very own local data, our OBSERVE team will help you to integrate that into our platform using the appropriate GIS tools depending on the type of data provided. Thank you for your interest.
All right, thank you, Faz. We do have one more sent in earlier. What's the best method to analyze customer feedback and what kind of tools is required? Emily, would you like to take this one?
Yep, sure. Thank you, Ash, for the question. There are a number of ways to analyze customer feedback, and typically we would use forms like Google Forms, SurveyMonkeys, and all these similar platforms to share and generate analysis. So similarly with Observe, you can also do that through some of the tools and apps that are either form-centric or big button type for short survey, and then provide you with the visualization aid and analytic capabilities as well. But what's really great with Observe is that there is an additional location factor where we can add spatial data into your analysis. So for example, you have a set of feedback on a particular product, and you notice that the variation in response is somewhat too vague for you to understand or justify the patterns. So by adding this spatial component into your workflow, you might be able to tease out the X factor or the unknown factor that you're looking for and say, hey, maybe this particular group of customer has this set of product requirement because they're living in a particular spatial zone. So hence explains the pattern that you're seeing. The other tool that we can also integrate is the Power BI by Microsoft for business analytics. If you are already running on Power BI to generate data visualization and reports, we can also enhance the data further by integrating them into our platform. And I hope this answers your question. Thank you.
All right, thanks. I love that everyone is talking and everyone is asking questions, but it is currently, I'm doing a time check, it's currently 10:55 and we only have 5 minutes now. How about we take one more questions? Anyone from the panelists, maybe Fast, would you like to answer one more questions online?
Yep, I'll take the question in the chat box saying, can you have restricted zones around the platform? To answer that question, we can set a restricted area into our platform according to your requirement and a set of geofencing or notification alert for people get in and out. As for rigs and seismic data, you'd like to know more about your requirement, you can kindly send us an email to provide a detail, info@niat.com.pn.
All right, thanks. With that said, all good things must come to an end, I would say. I sadly have to say goodbye to everyone. I would like to say thank you for your attention and participation in the webinar, and I sincerely hope that you've learned one new thing or two about data analytics and remote sensing. Again, to learn more, you can easily reach us at info@niat.com.pn or by scanning the QR code that should be on your screen right about now. We would be grateful also if you were to fill in the survey as you leave the webinar. It would help us improve our future content and also our events. On behalf of NiAT, the management, the team, sorry, I'd like to say thank you once again and hope to see you all again very soon. My name is Ash. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And goodbye, everyone. Stay safe. Thank you for joining.